Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And oh my god, I do not like the winter, Una. This is, I do not feel like I'm awake or that I have any kind of energy right now. And so it's going to be a lot of that fake energy going on right now, but I'm going to try to push through until it's real energy.
I know. You'd think I'd have more fake energy stored up because I'm not using that fake energy for the holidays.
Yeah.
It's just going to be me at home. And yet.
Yeah. And here I am. I'm still like, I'm getting full nights of sleep and I'm still waking up. Like I only, I was up until 4 a.m. playing Crusader Kings, which of course I've kind of been doing, but only on the weekend, mostly.
Can I tell you, honest to God, so I have a bougie millennial horoscope app that I love dearly. Especially because every so often my horoscope, like a hilarious fortune cookie, gives me advice that does not work in the pandemic times. Today included, where it was like, because Uranus is in Sagittarius or whatever. It's like, are you feeling isolated and like a little bit sleepy? You like that's the universe telling you need to get out and be seen. It's like, no, I don't. Yeah, I am absolutely isolated and I have been so sleepy.
Look, if there's anything I know about my seasonal defective disorder, included with the pandemic, you're very wrong, horoscope. You are in the exact opposite direction.
I will not be going outside to be seen.
If anything, at best, I will be skulking outside to get more half and half while wearing 3 masks at the same time.
Yes.
Well, thank you, horoscopes. You've done it again. Well, I guess it's time for us to do our last episode of the year.
Oh my goodness.
And we've been
doing this for a year now, right?
We're pretty close to it. We started, I believe, at the end of either January or February. So we're not quite at our 1-year anniversary just yet, but this is the last one we're doing for the year. We are going to be taking a Christmas break to hang out with ourselves.
To do this, but not record.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a great way of putting it. Yeah. But yeah, so I figured if we are closing out for the year, I should hit a couple topics that we typically haven't hit this year. So we don't talk a lot about, I would say, more liberal third party people, just because it tends to be a little less funny because it's easier for us, I would say, to associate with them due to our, I don't know, how do they explain it? Elitist bigwig college minds doing all that shit.
The knife twists a bit more because you're like, oh, you scrappy upstarts. God bless.
It's like you're trying real hard, but if you just get the transcendental meditation out of your thing, you'd be able to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to end the year on something a little more left-leaning. And I also wanted to talk about a woman because I don't think we've ever talked about a third-party female candidate who was also a left-wing person, other than maybe Bill Stein.
Yeah, and
even then, just for brief, fleeting moments.
Right. Because I was going to say, it's like, well, we've talked about Laura Loomer.
Oh yeah, talked about Laura Loomer. We talked about Sam Tittle on the Sam train.
Choo choo.
So today we're going to be talking about Juliet Stuart Poyntz. Now, is that a name that you recognize?
Not at all.
Okay, that is because you were not alive during much of the Cold War, or at least you weren't paying attention and like having really serious debates.
Definitely not.
So that's a bit of a hint as to what we're going into here. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Juliet. So Juliet was born in 1886 in Omaha, Nebraska, to an accountant father and a school teacher mother. Now, there isn't much out there about her childhood, but what we do know is when Juliet was 9, her parents would get a divorce, and she would move to Jersey City with her mother and little sister.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the dream of every child of divorce.
Yes.
So you get to go to Jersey City.
Listen, I lived very briefly in Jersey City because I could not afford Hoboken.
Una, what's the best thing about Jersey City that we don't know about?
They have some really great Indian and Pakistani restaurants in downtown Jersey City, and you can grab the PATH train.
That actually sounds wonderful. I've slightly changed my mind about Jersey City. So she totally had all of this in what year would that have been? 1895.
Yes.
Just enjoying the wonderful place that was Jersey City. So throughout her childhood after that, Juliet would build a reputation for being both very precocious and wickedly intelligent, which at the age of 16, she would use to get into the nation's preeminent women's universities, Barnard College.
Nice.
So much like the other Ivy schools, Barnard existed as an option for women who couldn't get into one of the top Ivies in America. What for missing that dick you need to get into Columbia?
Yeah.
And so Juliet would absolutely freaking thrive at Barnard. And frankly, I have no clue how she balanced everything she did in her extracurricular life alongside with all of her studies.
Oh, no.
Because, I mean, I remember undergrad as just a whirlwind of any sort of paper that was due. It would be finished about 2 hours before class after staying up all night to write it. Most of the time staring at a screen in a panic. And I was able to do one club without completely descending into chaos.
I just kept trying to get into like the various sketch comedy troupes and being rejected every time. time. Yeah.
You should have gone to OU because the sketch comedy group I was in, we at our peak had 25 members.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we were good at writing comedy, bad at saying no.
That's just improv rules.
I know. Sketch comedy should never live by improv rules if there's one thing we learned. So here's the complete CV of everything that Juliet did while at Barnard. And please feel free to stop me at any point because it gets
terrible.
In her freshman year, Juliet would rush Kappa Kappa Gamma and become a member of the Campus Christian Association and serve as class treasurer. So, she's in a sorority, she's joined up with the Christians for some reason, and is class treasurer. Kind of balanceable. Her sophomore year, she was elected class president and was on the dance committee. As a junior, she became secretary of the Barnard Union, and by her senior year, Juliet worked on the board of the college yearbook mortar board. She participated in the senior dance show, took part in the annual Greek games where she won first place in wrestling, won the annual interclass debate, made the Phi Beta Kappa academic fraternity, was voted most popular student at the college, was president of the undergraduate association, was chair of the student council, and was her graduating class's valedictorian.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What?
Look, if you're doing all that shit, then yeah, you have to be the valedictorian. Otherwise,
yeah. No, the frustrating part is you start to hear this list grow and you're like, okay, but like classes where, and it's like, oh, and she was Phi Beta Kappa. Yeah, never mind. Okay. So she was crushing that as well. And wrestling.
And that's what blows my mind is like, she's not just a triple threat. She can kick your ass. She can debate you into the ground and still end up 4.0 at the end of the year.
And apparently you'll like it because she's Miss Popularity.
I mean, to be fair, it was the yearbook that voted her most popular, and she is on the board of the yearbook, so there might be something going on there, but also I don't think so. I think she was just that badass.
Yeah.
So during this time, Juliet would also, what's the word I'm looking for? Do some real collegiate, weird, rebellious shit.
Nice.
And by that, I mean she legally changed her last name.
Okay, girl.
So initially, it's the same pronunciation, but it was initially spelled Pointz. Nice Irish name. And she renamed it to Poyntz.
I am so here for this.
I don't get it, but also I've never had that streak in me. So, go for it. Fucking have fun.
If only she were alive today with all of the usernames and various
Oh my God, she would have thrived in the time of AOL Instant Messenger.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, reading through her entire thing, she would have been a fucking all-star in college right now. Like, if she was a Zoomer in undergrad, she would be ruling any fucking campus she was on.
I'm glad she's not. That would be annoying.
So, as is college tradition, Juliet also began to discover a whole new world of thought, mainly that of class struggles, immigrant rights, and the suffragette movement. In her senior year, she would fight against the creation of a senior society, fearing that the point of making the society was to create a class-based secret organization that would only succeed in dividing her senior class. Which, yes, the Ivies, you're gonna have secret societies. And yes, it's always just rich people blackmailing each other for friendship.
That's the point.
Look, I didn't get into the skull and bones and release all of my most valuable secrets just to not be able to avoid the poor.
I did it for the connections.
I thought you were going to say cocaine, but connections are good too.
That was legal in.
It's true. Just drink a glass of heroin. You'll be fine.
Oh, got a headache?
Is your baby crying too much? Do some cocaine on it. And as if her senior year wasn't already busy enough, Juliet also founded the college's first chapter of the Collegiate Equal Suffrage League of New York State. In her valedictory speech, Juliet would remark on the founding of her suffragette chapter, quote, "When the movement began, the intrepid few who composed it were distinctly made to feel by the rest of the college that they were regarded as queer, as lacking in balance and altogether abnormal. Mere facts can never develop power and personality. But in our rebellion against mere information, we have tried not to go to the other extreme, exemplified by the college girl whose motto was, 'Never let your lessons interfere with your college life.'" So when Juliet graduated from Barnard with her BA in 1907, she was more than prepared to begin her life fighting for a whole swath of worthy causes.
Yeah, she did not go to college to get her MRS.
I would pay money for like an old video of her on a date. Like just a blind date with some Wall Street shithead. Just, I don't know, eating some weird 1910s food, like, I don't know, boiled raccoon in an au jus.
Or, yeah, like slumming it with oysters there.
Oh my God.
Because that was poor food.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So upon graduation, Juliet took a job as a special agent in the newly formed U.S. Immigration Commission. The commission was jointly created by the House and Senate to study the origins and consequences of the recent burst of immigration to the United States. She describes this period as her, quote, break from the respectable middle classes, and would be where she found her proper level in the slums with the lowest of low, delightful immigrants. Which
yes.
Like, I get what you're saying. It sounds a little bit like poverty tourism, the way you're saying it.
It 100% is. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I would have been hanging out.
Fetishizing.
Yeah, I would have hung out with the Irish in the Titanic scene. They seem fun. They're poor, but they're happy. And I'm rich and have no problems.
What you don't understand is these tenements are so real. People here
I
are just
changed my
so
last
real.
name so they would believe that I was more like them. Ugh. So she would leave this job with the U.S. Immigration Commission after a year and return to the hallowed halls of Barnard, this time as a full-time teacher's assistant and a part-time history professor. And it also just so happens that she was the TA for James T. Shotwell, a major player in the world of international workers' rights, and the whole reason the UN Charter has a section on human rights. And it's from here she'd start to learn a lot more about workers' rights in general.
Do I feel meet cute coming on?
I wish. No, that's the end of that. There's no Shotwell Poyntz love affair that's gonna happen, even though it would have been adorable.
Maybe a Shotswell shotgun marriage.
Oh my god.
I'll go now.
Quit writing my spec script. And of course, Juliet can't just take a job and leave it at that. I mean, technically a job and a half and leave it at that. She continued to work with Barnard's Collegiate Suffrage Equal Rights chapter that she had founded her senior year. Also, she got her master's degree from Columbia University within 1 year while doing all of her jobs and helping out the suffragette groups.
Can we also pour one out for the fact that she also had an assistant professor job with a BA? Like just a professor job at all.
Yep.
Just pour one out.
Yeah, I feel like that professor job, and I might just be reading into this just based on friends' experiences where it's like you're a TA and they'll throw you a class that you can teach. Yeah. I kind of feel like it might be a little bit more like that, but they were just like, oh, we're getting a really good professor for very little money. Let's just run with this.
Yeah, 100%.
So by 1912, Juliet was nearing the end of her tenure at Barnard, but she had already found a new quest to fill the void of her soon-to-be completed employment. Juliet had dove headfirst into the suddenly burgeoning movement of socialism. As she would say to the Barnard class book in 1912, quote, I am still a woman suffragist, or worst, still a feminist and also a socialist, also of the worst brand.
Nice.
The next year, Juliet would receive a fellowship from the American Foundation of Women's Clubs and use the funds to travel to London. And she would use that time to study at Oxford University and at the London School of Economics. Because one's not hard enough, is it, Juliet? You have to do two. You have to just show it all of us that you can do multiple things at once.
Yep. Throw a commute in there, why don't you? When you've just invented the internal combustible engine.
It's always these people. They always run for office because they can do 16 things at once. And I am still here in the middle of winter trying to work up the courage to make toast.
I got dressed when I didn't have any Zoom meetings.
This is going to be really great if we ever do run for public office. That anyone running against us can be like, these guys barely function. Why?
We'll be like, yeah. So you know what? We're of the people. I know I'm not alone. I want to
hire a team.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not just gonna come running into freaking Congress with a briefcase full of leaves and sad noises.
Late again because I had trouble getting out of bed.
You might remember me from that moment on C-SPAN where I interrupted AOC by in the background repeatedly muttering, sorry, sorry, sorry. Seriously, I don't know what happened to the alarm. Sorry, I just sleep through things sometimes. I need multiple alarms. Sorry, just keep going. What did I miss?
If the junior representative from Illinois could please stop audibly sighing, that would be appreciated.
Oh man, I cannot wait for our generation to have more seats in Congress. It's going to be just that. Just everything is coffee stained and everyone's sad.
We're talking about how they're definitely going to run a marathon.
Tom Cotton, seriously, man, I'm going to do it this year. I know you and I never talk, and I'm only talking to you because we're in line and I'm socially awkward and I'm trying to get myself out of that. And you seem like a terrible person, but do you want to run a marathon maybe?
Also, I need people to rep me. So if you could just sign this petition, I could donate $50.
Look, if you just sign it, I'll buy Girl Scout cookies from you. I know it's going to take longer to ship them from Arkansas. I don't care. I just want to exit this conversation that I started. So yeah, vote Wilson O'Leary in 2020.
Tagline, we know what you're going through.
Just look, I know.
Yeah, look, I know.
Oh man. Oh yeah, what were we talking about? Socialism. That's right. Happy all the time socialism. The thing is, while she was in London, she wouldn't get a degree from Oxford or the London School of Economics, but she would end up getting a fucking ring on it.
Oh shit, girl! Yes!
So while in London, she met Frederick Franz Ludwig Glaser, a doctor, German diplomat, an avid communist. That's right, Una. We're going to be talking about communism today.
Yes.
And you know, before we get into it, I think it's important that we say our stance on communism because, you know, a lot of people have very strong opinions. And by that, I mean everyone who was born before, I don't know, 1980.
And some born after. Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, so I think I'll just say this now. I think it's a really good form of government if you completely ignore human nature.
Yes.
Like Karl Marx was just like, I would like this to be a thing. And then a bunch of terrible people were like, I'll do it. And it could have been fine, but you reach peak asshole real early. If anyone who has run a Facebook group,
Oh my God.
it's perfectly sunshine and roses up until 4,999 people. But as soon as you hit 5,000, you're getting at least one or two complete assholes that suddenly you're going to have to babysit. And that's communism.
So
Only those assholes end up in power.
here's my stance with communism is yeah, it's the human element of you have communism and then you have someone like Seso in Romania or Stalin in Russia, and you have the centralized government, and then you have the cult of personality and the immense destruction of farmers' rights and grain in the Ukraine following that cult of personality, because the numbers have to add up and show that communism is working. So yeah, it's like this is always great in theory. My other problem with communism is that the literal card carrying communists that I meet and know are always white guys who actually have a little bit of a trust fund behind them.
Yep.
And who always tell me that no, it would totally work. The problem was just Stalin. And I keep wanting to be like, but that's what happened. And I'm not, and all this is to say, like, there always seems to be this sense of like, I hate capitalism, so I have to love communism, or I hate communism, so I have to love capitalism. Nope. It is not an either or. I have a lot of problems with capitalism right now. Like so many, like a friend sent me a tweet the other day about how this person wishes that a witch would just turn them into an animal, literally any animal. They would just be so grateful to be able to bow out of capitalist society, even momentarily, and just live as like a titmouse for a week.
God.
That would be great. I felt that. I felt that strongly.
Well, I'm glad you liked my tweet. There are times that I'm looking at my dog and I'm just like, can we just trade? Like, well,
All the time.
we can trade back at any time, but right now I just need belly rubs and I need sleep.
My chunky cat, I put a tie on him and he just lays out in the sun and sleeps. And it's like, wow, must be really great not to have to worry about rent.
Oh God. Yeah, if your person can't pay rent, you can live in the street and be okay. Food runs around out there.
He did it before.
Oh Lord. So I think that's a really good point, is that, I'm gonna make fun of communism off and on, but I'm also not completely outwriting that, like, yeah, socialism has some ideas that I really wish we could take and be fine with, but I also wish there were fewer assholes, so maybe we could have a utopia, but such is humanity.
There's also I think as well there's a ideological distinction between communism and socialism that I am not hip enough to like dive into as well. So it's also one of those things where it's like, I think for us left-leaning people, it's like a lot easier to just banter around with the word socialism.
Yeah, 100% agreed. One of the bits of studying I was doing into this that just broke my brain, just kind of a side thing. I can't really read Russian novels because whenever I see a name, I can't remember it. So if I check off, I can't get into it just because all the character names end up looking the same to me. And so the same thing happens to me when it comes to communist and socialist lines of thought, where I'm trying to read about Trotskyism and Marxism and Leninism and what the actual difference is between them all. And my brain just cannot function and figure that out. So that is a blind spot we are going to have in this episode. I fully admit that ahead of time.
Don't add us.
Yeah.
You knew what you were getting into by episode 30.
Yeah, if you heard us by episode 30 and you thought, oh, these guys probably know Russian history real well.
Oh yeah.
You are. I am so sorry. But yeah, it's if there's a common theme I've also seen in communism, it seems like forcing people to be farmers is always where it goes wrong.
There's a really fantastic movie this year called Mr. Jones. I think you can rent it on Amazon. But it's about the devastating famine that occurred in the Ukraine in the 1930s. And it occurred because Stalin, in an effort to show that communism was working and the numbers were working and centralized government was working, like just essentially massacred all of Ukraine. Like Ukraine was the breadbasket of Eastern Europe and still is. And tens of millions of people died because they just took everything. Like they just clear cut the grain all throughout the Ukraine and brought it into Russia. And we're like, hey, look, see, centralized government totally working. Look at all this grain we have. Look at all this money we are able to make off of this grain by selling it. Yeah, not so much.
So after that fun topic, marriage, love, So yeah, Juliet meets Fred, doctor, diplomat, communist, and they fall in love. And they end up getting married in New York City that very same year. The problem, though, is that since women's rights were just a whole pile of non-existent, when she married Fred, Juliet was forced to give up her American citizenship.
What?
Yep. So she technically
Oh.
became a German citizen after she married Fred.
Oh man.
But the two would end up moving to the United States anyway. I assume, I don't know if work visas were a thing, whatever the version of work visas was back then, which I assume is just like, we'll underpay you until you ask for more and then we'll send you home.
Yeah, or like someone would write a letter of recommendation, like vouching for the person or
Yeah.
something.
That sounds about right. I don't know. We'll have to look that up for the next that's a next year problem. We'll figure that out. So the two would remain in America, and Juliet would become an official member of the Socialist Party. So now when we talk about socialism nowadays, the closest we really kind of see to any political success would be the Democratic Socialists that you see either here in Chicago's Aldermanic Council or with AOC and Cory Bush. And that's pretty much the idea of successful socialism that we have nowadays. While the other half dozen socialist parties just flounder like crazy in presidential elections and never really run anywhere else. But the thing is, around that time in the 1910s, the Socialist Party of America was within a breath of becoming the third major party in America.
Ooh.
Just give you an idea of how well they were doing. The party was led by International Workers of the World founder Eugene V. Debs, and with him running as president, the party scored over 900,000 votes in the 1912 and 1920 presidential election. The party elected 2 congressmen, dozens of state legislators, and hundreds of mayors across the country. They were within a breath of just becoming America's far left party, which would be kind of nice right now, in my opinion. But a number of problems happened, one of which we're going to talk about a little later, but the other is just a lot of people dying in World War I, which ironically enough, the Socialist Party was completely against as a pacifist organization.
Yeah.
So when Juliet joined in 1913, she was getting onto a political train that really seemed to be on the verge of becoming a huge success. And as fate would have it, this would also be the time that Juliet would meet a man by the name of Morris Hillquit, who was a lawyer that represented the International Ladies Garment Workers Union, or the ILGWU. I'm not going to try to say that acronym in a row. I'm probably going to stutter it a bunch. But anyway, the IALGWU had been founded in New York City in 1900, and by 1909 had grown into one of the largest female trade unions in the city. And this had occurred due to a spontaneous 14-week strike that began at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. When news of the strike hit the other garment workers, 2/3 of the women and immigrants working in the industry voted to join the strike. This became known as the Uprising of 20,000 and was met with, as all strikes were at the time, a fuck ton of cop-based and union-busting violence. In a very weird twist, though, much of the violence was curbed when a trio of heiresses joined the cause. Frances Perkins, Anne Morgan, and Alva Vanderbilt Belmont not only announced their support of the striking garment workers, but went out and protested with them, knowing that if they were on the front lines, cops and union busters would be far less likely to beat the shit out of the richest women in the city. And they became known as the Mink Brigade.
Nice. Also, excellent use of allyship.
Yeah. To be fair, Emma Goldman, who was an anarchist and a protester at the time as well, she made a really good point that if this protest succeeds and if this strike succeeds, it's because of the people who were striking, not because 3 rich people showed up, which that is something that we talk a lot about these days. When I was reading that, it reminded me a lot of the moms in Portland.
Oh, yeah.
Out front, and people kind of making a point right now that the moms all went away once the feds left and really didn't stick around for what the actual protest was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it is an interesting sort of thing to see these millionaire heiresses put it all on the line for a bunch of immigrant women. And in the end, the strikers would get better pay, better working conditions, and more humane working hours. The problem, though, is the various garment companies still refuse to recognize their union, making it very difficult for them to strike again in the future. Now, if the Triangle Shirtwaist Company sounds familiar, that's because 2 years after the uprising of the 20,000, a fire would break out at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory that would kill 146 women.
Oh, so that was after?
That was after. That
Oh,
was with
shit.
improved conditions.
Oh, gee. That was after 20,000.
Yeah. And while 146 women dying would be tragic enough, the death count was found to be so high because the owners of the factory had locked all of the doors on the first floor as a way to prevent theft or unauthorized breaks. And while quite a few women died from the fire, a large amount died due to jumping from the building to escape the flames. And this is why we need fucking unions. Because even when things are better, they're still garbage.
Still terrible.
So Juliet became a part of the ILGWU, and it only made perfect sense. Her initial job was to help Morris Hillquit in researching economic data on the cost of living for garment workers, and they would then use that data for arbitration to try to push for higher wages. And by 1915, Hillquit would be so impressed by Juliet that he recommended her for a full-time job within the union. Juliet would become the education director of the Workers' University at Local 25, a position that seems to have been made just for her. And so Local 25 is one of the many different union chapters across the entire city. And so it was kind of like, we're we're going to give you an important but still kind of a trial basis to see how this works with this one union. And of course, it's not like Juliet to just take one job, she had to take another. And so she also became editor for Local 25's magazine, The Message. And that very same year, she would also be a featured speaker at the Women's Day March for the suffrage movement, where she would be billed as the feminist communist. And that's right, our friend Juliet was now not just a socialist, she is a complete and total commie.
Yes, a feminist communist.
That's what marriage gets you. You marry a guy and he'll turn you into a communist. Hashtag no marriages. Anyway. Ooh, I need to get some sleep. Anyway.
Hashtag free market, hashtag free world.
Free market marriages. Not 2 years later, Juliet would be promoted to the education director for the entire union. And of course, she immediately got to fucking work. She set up programs to teach adult labor education, organized dances, and established a series of recreation classes. But her biggest push was for the creation of what she would call unity houses. So the general idea behind this is that it's incredibly difficult to find a place to live in New York City. An end of sentence. It's even harder if you are a single immigrant woman or an unmarried mother who is also an immigrant woman.
Right.
And so what Juliet set up were essentially communal living houses where the union would purchase properties and then have all of these women live there communally and pay very minimal rent just to keep the place going.
This took on, like, this was a thing that went on for decades. Like, even in the 80s, it was the setup for Tom Hanks's first commercial success, Bosom Buddies, where these two guys dress as women and get a room in what is like, they're essentially like female dorms, but for after college because you couldn't live alone. And yeah, they had to keep that up, but the rent was so good.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's it's important to give women those spaces because it's not like men could just dress up as women and sneak their way into there. If they did that, then we'd have to completely segregate women because men are dangerous or something. I don't know if that joke works or if that's just true. Anyway, but you know what? Why stop there? Because if there's one thing overworked, underpaid, and severely underappreciated people need, it's a fucking vacation. And that's why Juliet led the union to purchase a summer park in the Poconos and renamed it the Unity House Resort. And it would become a vacation spot solely for union members until 1985.
Hell yes, because that's the whole point. Like, you put in all the protests to actually get the weekend invented. You deserve a place to go and spend those weekends.
Yeah, and the place looked like it was fucking awesome. Nowadays, it is completely abandoned. Apparently, after 1985, they opened it up to the public to try to raise some money, but they had to closing it down in 1989, and it has just sat vacant ever since.
You know why? Because Reagan hated unions that much.
Probably. But yeah, I would love to be in a union where they're like, all right, we're going to get you better pay. We're going to get you better hours. Also, we have a really amazing resort in Wisconsin Dells.
Yes.
Any fucking time.
Yes.
That'd be amazing.
Have yourself some meat on a stick and
oh my God, yes.
Go tubing.
Oh yeah, it's the Dells. There's got to be a tube. There's got to be a water slide. If there's anything Wisconsin Dells is for everyone who's not from Chicago, it's a town that's nothing but water slides and themed hotels.
It's frankly weird. Like, I
don't know how the economy around that town happened. It's just one guy made a water slide and they're like, everyone now, Holiday Inn water slide.
It's like an unincorporated, not Disney park, and it's just about water slides and water theme park amusement things.
I might be talking out of my butt on this, but I think they also have a couple of like honeymoon hotels where it's like themed rooms where it's like the safari suite where you can do some boring suburban role play.
It's not boring to them.
Look, I get it. I know we're both writers. We have high standards. I don't want to say we have pitch meetings.
We have a lot of fan fiction in our background.
I cannot work with just a heart-shaped tub.
And then a heart-shaped bed.
This is a horror story, and I don't know where else to go from.
Yes.
Do you know how much bacteria is in that tub? I am only fucking in that tub for 2 minutes.
The Wisconsin Dells is also one of those things where it's like, I grew up in Michigan, like a lake over. I had never heard of the Dells until I moved to Chicago and was around enough Wisconsin people taking improv classes with them. And someone's suggestion was the Wisconsin Dells. And I was just like, well, I'm going to make something up now because I have no clue what you're talking about.
Could have just turned them in like local jokes get local work and then just walk out.
I'm national, baby.
I would like a refund. Don't you stick me in a class that has regional jokes. Anyway, so yeah, 1917, pretty good year for Juliet. But 1918 is kind of when things would start to fall the fuck apart.
Oh no.
So all of that success and good work really should have been enough for the ILGWU to try to keep Juliet on until the end of time. But a couple of major historical moments would cause a permanent break between the Union and the woman who had done so much for them in only 3 years. First, the Socialist Party was in a tailspin. Now, I don't know if you know about this, Una, but far left movements have a problem with fracturing.
Yeah, we are not known for all like getting into an orderly line.
Yeah, if I think I mentioned this in a couple episodes ago. I tried really hard to do the family tree of socialist political parties, and it turns into such a convoluted goddamn mess of people
It's
splitting over what I'm sure to them felt like very important reasons. And to be fair, for the Socialist Party, the break did make sense, but it also completely kneecapped a movement that very well could have made them this third party of America.
but the
But on the I know.
ideals, Dusty.
But on the upside, we could still blame this one on Russia.
Great.
So the Socialist Party was in a bit of a tailspin, mainly because of the Russian Revolution in 1917. So during that time, the Bolsheviks take control of the country, the Tsars are dead, all that fun stuff. I think the Tsars were 1917, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Bolsheviks take control in the Russian Empire, the Tsars are done, and the people have successfully revolted. Now, the problem, though, is the Socialist Party in America really didn't know how to respond to this, because the Socialist Party was made up of people who were socialists, and then further left in the party were people who were devout fucking communists.
Mm.
So the communists were like, we should celebrate this. And the Socialist Party is essentially like, don't you see how good we've done so far? Maybe we shouldn't mention the whole communism thing. And then the party schismed. Communists left, socialists stayed on in the Socialist Party, and neither of them improved due to the split.
Damn it.
And the thing is, the schism moved its way into the ILGWU. While the Union was left-leaning, it wasn't as far left as the more ardent socialists, especially the ones soon to turn communist. The biggest issue, though, was that the local sect of the Union got only one vote in any Union matter. So say Local 25 gets one vote, Local 26 gets one vote, but Local 25 has 50,000 members, Local 26 has 52. Both of them have the exact same vote. It's essentially like Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the far left folks were like, this is kind of a problem because the larger unions are more left-leaning. And the way that this is set up right now is it's keeping kind of the more centrist people in charge. And maybe we should change that. And the ILGWU responded to that by essentially kicking out anyone who was far too left, including Juliet.
Oh, what?
Yep.
They're like, we have heard your complaints and taken them into consideration, and please leave.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is even prior to 1909, when everything started kicking off, the Union was a lot more towards the center than it was to the left. And it was just a left by de facto sort of thing because it was a union and they're fighting for people that no one fucking cares about. And their whole thing was it's all about wins and it's all about what we can achieve. It's not about what we believe in. It's about winning. So essentially Juliet was asked to leave due to being too political and too much of a troublemaker. And it's also around this time that her and Frederick got divorced due to irreconcilable differences.
Oh.
So now she is divorced. She has no American citizenship. Her party is
Still?
split in half. Nope, still not an American citizen. So in 1919, Juliet would move on to a new political party, and that would be the Communist Party USA. Now, here's the thing, is most of the research that I've done looking into the Communist Party, there's a lot of apocryphal information that states that Juliet was one of the co-founders of the party.
Ooh.
The thing, though, is there was a bit of research done by folks at Cornell University, and they could not find a single shred of evidence that proved this to be true. But also at the same time, they openly admit that, yeah, she probably would have been there. She was considered by the NYPD to be one of the top communists in New York City at the time.
She's a top commie.
Oh, yeah. She's
Head pinko.
if there's anything I love every year, it's Rolling Stone's top 50 albums, NYPD's top 10 communists. And yeah, by all rights, she was one of the higher up communists in the area. So yeah, she was probably there when everything got founded, and she was probably there when they set out their platform and everything like that. There's just no evidence that says she got it together and was one of the party founders.
Could we speculate that she was left out of the minutes due to misogyny?
Funny thing about that is if you were a woman who wanted to run for political office back in the 1920s, you had three options. You could either run as a Socialist Party member or the Socialist Labor Party, which would eventually split from the Socialist Party, which is the other issue that started happening is once all the communists left, other people started fracturing away from the Socialist Party as it was into their own little groups as well. You could run as a communist or you could run as a Prohibition Party nominee. And especially looking at the Prohibition Party now, which is like we still hate booze, but we are also severely right-wing and to the point that we had to remove our nominee for having really close white supremacy ties.
Ruh-roh.
It's not good. But yeah, essentially the Prohibition movement had so many women leading it that the idea of putting a woman on the party banner to run for a political position just made sense because they were already in charge and they were already doing shit.
Nice.
So those are pretty much your options. That being said, yeah, there might have been some misogyny. I mean, it's what's the thing? Occam's misogyny?
Yeah.
I think that's the phrase. And so, yeah, so Communist Party forms. And just for fun, she also joined the staff of the Friends of the Soviet Union, which is a nonprofit that raised funds for the Russian famine of 1921, and the International Labor Defense, which is a social service organization created by the Soviet Union to supply legal defense for unionists in America, but also aided in anti-lynching movements and often represented people who were the victims of lynching. So in 1924, Juliet would get a bit of a windfall in that she got her U.S. citizenship returned.
Good.
Yeah,
Loses
judges
it
like,
over a man.
you've waited long enough. Fred sounds like a jerk. He made
Yeah.
you a communist. Which, are you still a communist? Whatever. We'll give you your citizenship back. Have fun. And lucky for Juliet, she would not only find a permanent work and political home in the Communist Party, but she also began her American citizenship in 1924 in the most American way possible by running for political office.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov, Juliet. Poyntz points.
Now, typically, this is where we would dive into the whole nitty gritty of how the campaigns went and all the certain bullshit that happened to her while she was running against the major party dudes. But the thing is, even in the more extensive articles about her, absolutely none of them mention any of these 6 races that she ran for. So sadly, we have no choice but to kind of skim through all of them.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, what we'll do instead is just play under 6 seconds of Sisters Are Doing It for Themselves, because I think that's the limit before we have to pay royalties.
Yeah, it would about take that long.
Yeah.
So,
Montage.
she's running for office, doing a thing, she's wearing pants. So in 1924, Juliet would run for U.S. Congress in New York's 20th District, which was essentially all of East Harlem and a park. And she finished 4th out of 4, getting 192 votes. But to be fair, anyone would have lost because she was running up against Fiorello LaGuardia, the airport.
Yeah, that LaGuardia.
Yeah, no one's beating LaGuardia. That's never going to happen. In 1926, she would run for New York comptroller because if there's anything third-party candidates run for, it's fucking comptroller.
Listen, you start with comptroller, you make your way up.
In that, she would finish 5th out of 6, beating the newly founded Socialist Labor Party. In 1927, she would run for New York State Assembly in the 17th District, once again finishing in last, getting only 103 votes. 1928, she ran for New York Attorney General, where she'd finish 4th out of 5th, getting 12,000 votes in her best performance, once again only defeating the Socialist Labor Party. In 1929, she ran for the Bronx Borough Presidency, where she would finish 4th out of 4, getting 2,300 votes. And finally, 1931, running for New York Assembly, she would finish 4th with 85 votes.
85? Oh, no.
It was not good. So yeah, when you have an entire life of doing really, really good against the odds, it's got to be really devastating when you spend 8 years running 6 campaigns and getting nothing out of it.
Just in my head, I had her winning, and I'm so heartbroken now.
I
don't know why.
I totally get that. And yeah, those are really bad numbers. But hey, you try running as a communist in America in the 1920s and 30s. Let's see how well you fucking do.
In the 20s and 30s was fine. Everyone dabbled in communism. It was like being bisexual in the 90s. It's like, yeah, sure. I'm bi-curious. I'm commie-curious.
And that's the thing is nationwide, the party only had one bastion of success during the 20s and 30s. And it wasn't New York City. It wasn't Chicago. It was Meriden County, Montana. But you know what? That's a story for another day. So Juliet's had a rough time. She's run 6 times for office. All the times have gone very poorly. She's doing some good causes, but it's not the huge success that she has. And you know what? There's got to be something bigger. There's got to be something outside of New York state politics that she can really make a difference in. So in 1934, Juliet obtained a new passport, traveled to the USSR, and took a meeting with the Soviet OGPU, which is the predecessor to the KGB. And after meeting with them, Juliet became an official spy for the Soviet government.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yeah, Juliet has broke bad.
She's the reason that we now have to live with that like boogeyman sense of like, if you're a communist, then you're probably a spy.
Kind of.
Oh, no.
So the thing is, though, is supposedly much of her spying was of the anti-Nazi variety. But you know what? It's not like her missions are public knowledge. So there's really no evidence one way or the other. But from 1934 to 1936, Juliet was a dutiful and vigilant spy for the commies living in America.
Wow. That's kind of badass, but
it really is. Like, if you're running a spy organization in Russia and you're wanting to recruit Americans and you get a CV that says, oh, she's a wrestling champion, she can debate anyone, she's already very respected in the communist circles in America, which is not an easy thing to do. Of course we're gonna fucking hire you.
Yeah, because I will say for very early Bolshevik Russia and especially in the 20s and everything before the country pretty much closed off, it really was like an equality haven. Like a number of Black artists moved over there, and as well as just women, because it's like, you mean I could actually have a job and a like quality of life and be considered a person? Yeah, I'll learn Russian. Let's do this.
What is that? Backwards R? I'll figure it out.
Fine.
So the thing is, by 1936, things would once again take a very strong turn. Juliet would travel back to Moscow, and as I'm sure all of you who study Russian history, the sentence 1936 probably rings a bell as a real bummer of a year.
Yeah, I got more of like the Law and Order dun dun in my head. Like, oh no.
Oh, that's the worst time. Go home. That's like Pompeii and volcano season. Go home. But Juliet had to go back to Moscow to debrief on her previous mission and to get some new intel as to what she's going to do next. But you see, in 1936 in Russia, a real boss-level asshole by the name of Joseph Stalin was running the place, and things were not going well. You see, the Great Depression had severely hurt the Soviet economy, and it also didn't help that Stalin's plan to force everyone to start farming was falling the fuck apart. And it's really the perfect environment for a revolution to begin, just like when Stalin did the same thing alongside the Bolsheviks. So Stalin, being a clear-headed lunatic, began a series of mock trials against all of the old Bolsheviks, figuring that they would have the best knowledge on how to create a successful revolution against him, so you gotta get him in jail as quick as you fucking can.
ASAFP.
So what started was a series of what were known as the treason trials, where a number of high-ranking Bolsheviks within the government and military were placed on trial, were coerced out of torture to give confessions stating that they were working under the direction of Leon Trotsky to try to overthrow Stalin. And I think the numbers were something like, by the end of it, 75% of the people who are currently within the Soviet government were arrested and put on trial for this sort of thing. And what followed this was what was known as the Great Purge, where Stalin executed the vast majority of Bolshevik leadership in the government and the military. It was a time of pure chaos and tyranny, and Juliet got there just in time for it.
This is reminding me how like Russian history itself is my catnip.
Yay! Oh my god, my blind spot is filled.
I love it. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, this is where the Gulag started, all of that stuff, and the famine, like in the Ukraine and in other areas, as you know, Stalin decided he was in charge of the weather as well.
Oh god, I mean that's always a good sign. So, when Trump starts tweeting about the weather, let's that's when we can run for office. So Juliet gets to Russia, and however, instead of doing her debriefing and new information as to what she's supposed to spy on, she is instead directly interrogated by Stalin's secret police. And during her time there, she also noted that a lot of people that she'd become friends with when she was being trained had suddenly gone missing during the purge. And the more she dug into things, the less she liked what she found. And in the end, Stalin's secret police did allow her to leave, and Juliet began returning home via Europe. And during this trip home, she was in contact with her personal lawyer, a man by the name of Elias Lieberman. This was partially due to the fact that her ex-husband Friedrich had passed, and she had been working with Lieberman to get a widow's allowance from Friedrich's estate. But on this return trip, she was far more insistent on how quickly the settlement needed to be made. Juliet would return to New York City on February of 1937, and was met with the news that the settlement of her ex-husband's estate had been approved, and she would be getting a widow's allowance at some point in the future, whenever it got across the ocean.
Sure.
However, a couple months later, Juliet would contact Lieberman again, stating that the money from the settlement hadn't arrived, and that she needed to leave the city as soon as fucking possible.
Oh no. Enemies on all coasts.
Now, during this time, friends described her as being nervous, anxious, and in genuine fear that her life was in danger. Some friends would claim that Juliet mentioned that she was writing a book that was critical of Stalin, and that she had fully defected from the Communist Party. By June, Juliet was renting a room at the American Women's Association clubhouse in Hell's Kitchen. On the evening of June 3rd, she received a phone call, left the clubhouse, and was never seen again. Una, do you recognize where we are right now? We've entered true crime territory. It's that sweet, sweet podcast money territory. True crime, dead people. Who knows what happened? No one.
True crime, but also with like early Russian KGB.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Oh, I am all about this.
So after not hearing from her for a few days, Lieberman would make his way to the clubhouse along with one of Juliet's friends. And when they got there, they found that her room was in perfect order. Her passport was there. Her money was there. All of her luggage was there. And Juliet's friends would even note that the day before, she bought mothballs at Macy's, which to them was a sign that she was already in the midst of storing her winter clothing. Altogether, it was a clear sign that she had not planned on disappearing into the void that night. And so Lieberman would contact the NYPD after finishing his own investigation. Because I don't know if you know this, Una, the NYPD is often bad at their job. And often even worse at it when it comes to marginalized communities. And Lieberman accurately predicted that if you go to the NYPD and say, hey, a top communist lady is missing, please help, they would just go home.
Hey, remember that woman you kept naming as your top communist? She's gone, and we don't know where.
Oh no, I'll get right on that. Right after someone invents the donut, and we marvel at that for 70 years.
Oh, darn.
Oh, man. Ugh. And as it turns out, yeah, he was right. Because a full year after her disappearance, the NYPD had no idea what happened to her and seemed to really not give a fuck to find out. Which brings us to a multitude of theories. Theory
Yes.
1. She actually did just disappear into the night. This is a theory that is backed by no one.
But we are just mentioning it to have all our bases covered.
Exactly. I mean, look, you are a top spy. What are you going to do to be able to disappear perfectly? You just walk out into the night and never return, and the only people looking for you is a group of assholes who pride themselves in murder and pretending like they're good at law.
Yeah, I mean, you do that after you get the money. Like, that's
Exactly.
obviously
Yeah.
what you wanted to do.
And that's the other thing is the money still has not arrived. The money, like Friedrich's money is still on transit. It's on a boat somewhere in the mid-Atlantic. It is taking
They're quote unquote wiring it, whatever that meant.
Yeah, I'm sure Western Union or whatever fucking telegraph bullshit they were using at the time was not working. Or they were just like, we're still trying to figure out how to convert Deutschmarks to American money, and it is 1936, and right now that is difficult.
Hold on, we ran out of wheelbarrows because our money is so inflated.
Actually, you would make more money if you just wanted Frederick's wheelbarrow, but all right, we'll send you the cash.
Fine. We can't wire a wheelbarrow yet.
Yeah, take that, Germany in the 30s. Oh, Lord. All right. So that's theory 1. Theory 2, which is considered to be the, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the one that ended up being the most accepted. And it was a theory that was created by a fellow by the name of Carlo Tresca, who was a labor organizer, an anarchist, and a former associate of Juliet's. So 1 year after she disappeared, Carlo would write an article that was published in the Modern Monthly, where he would hypothesize that the Soviets had tracked Juliet down in New York and went about their series of abducting her as such. From his findings, Tresca had found that a deep-voiced German man had been calling the clubhouse for Juliet for a week prior to her disappearance. Now, this was back during the phone board times, so you would call the clubhouse, you'd get like, operator, blah, blah, blah,
Operator?
blah. Who you calling for? And they would be like, he'd be like, deep German voice, be like, I'm calling for Juliet. And they would be like, all right, we'll patch it through. And then they do some cables, and Juliet accepts the call, and they patch it through. And apparently this guy called for a full week, and she took all the calls the entire time. And so Tresca believes that this was a former lover of Juliet's who was also an anti-Nazi Soviet spy by the name of Sancho Epstein. Now, Tresca accused Seshno of luring Juliet out of her room to visit him, and when he got her alone, Soviet agents scooped her up, never to be seen again. And in a world with no answers, this became the story that was clearly true. And I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense, you know, especially if Stalin knew a spy of his had left, and she was going to write a tell-all book on how much of a cock he is. Yes, Stalin has killed people for less, and would continue to kill people for less. But the thing, though, is a surrogate of Seshno would claim that he had absolutely nothing to do with Juliet's disappearance. And any further investigating via Tresca would end after the mafia ends up assassinating him 5 years later, due to the fact that they didn't like he was an anti-fascist.
Why? Because fascism originated in Italy?
Maybe. Look, tough time to be an anti-fascist. Always a tough time. The fucky thing, though, is the question of why did Tresca write an article claiming he knew what happened to Juliet Stuart Poyntz when he really didn't have any evidence? He just had kind of a theory and a cool story that honestly makes sense, but has no evidence to back it up. And it's at this point enters Denise Lin, who is a professor at the University of Southern Illinois. So Denise Lin is not to be confused with the Northwest Ohio Denise Lin, who writes books such as Falcon's Desire and Pregnant by the Warrior, which, I'm gonna lie, sounds hot as fuck.
Totally getting that from my Kindle.
Ooh, bedded by her lord. That sounds delightful.
Don't mind me.
So Professor Denise M. Lin, who has a book coming out at the end of January entitled Where is Julia Stuart Poyntz? Gender Spycraft and Anti-Stalinism in the Early Cold War, posits a unique theory as to why Tresca decided to write this article when he did. You see, folks like Tresca were working really hard to push people away from communism. And some of this came from former members becoming disenchanted via the Great Purge, others had just grown tired of the movement, and some people were just genuinely scared of America falling under a communist sort of government of some kind. But what he needed was a symbol, an example of what communism would do to you once you had outlived your purpose or decided to leave. So when his former associate turned up missing, and yeah, probably because of the Soviets, Tresca took complete advantage of the tragedy and used Juliet's death to his advantage. Instead of her being viewed as an independent badass that she was, Tresca had reduced her to a powerless pawn. And not only that, but Tresca's article made it seem like there was no longer a need to find out what really happened to Juliet. He ended the search and got exactly what he wanted. And for decades after Juliet's death, she would be used as an example of how the commies corrupt good, wholesome American girls. In the words of Professor Lin, Poyntz's disappearance remains unsolved, and few law enforcement agencies in the 1930s and beyond appeared interested in locating a missing communist. Poyntz's suspected murder at the hands of communists in the pre-World War II era was central to the Cold War anti-communist hysteria, and former anti-communists used it to undermine calls for civil and women's rights and lead the United States to take a political turn to the right. And like Professor Lin says, we still have no clue what the hell happened to Juliet. And in 1944, she would be declared deceased. And now today, the Communist Party actually is still going. And I know this is going to be really weird to say and might actually be kind of one of the cool sort of wins from all of this, at least from Juliet's point of view. There are 2 communists that currently hold political office in America.
Oh my goodness.
Both are women.
Hey.
There is Denise Weinbrenner Edwards, who serves on the City Council of Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania, and served from 1999 to 2010 and regained her office in 2019. And there's Wasiah Whitebird of Ashland, Wisconsin, who just began her tenure in 2019.
Mazel tov.
So at least there's a little bit of win for that. And I know it really sucks going into true crime being like, what the fuck happened? And the answer is, I don't fucking know. Subscribe.
Yeah, hold on. I want to throw in another theory.
Ooh, please do.
So I feel like she came back to the States, but there's also like, I don't know, either people find like her old Union people who found out maybe she had been a spy, or certainly like living for a while in Russia. I just feel like there's an American contingent that could have also killed her.
I mean, that would make perfect sense, honestly. I could absolutely see that. I know very little about American spy work in the 1930s, especially in regards to anti-communist sort of stuff. I mean, like I said, I don't know much about it. I assume that would mostly fall under the Pinkertons line of work, but I mean, that could be entirely possible.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Juliet was not very well liked by people who should have liked her.
Right. And I'm also envisioning her after, like you said, 8 years of attempting to gain access to public office, to do something good for her community, being told no, and her just throwing up some deuces, being like, bye, y'all.
Yeah, I'm going to knock down some Nazis doing spy work in America, which, not some bad work. I mean, if you're going in fucking knocking down the silver shirts in America as a Soviet spy, fucking all the power to you. That's a movie I would fucking watch. It would be 80 times better than Hunters.
Which is another thing I don't like. Oh God, I'm definitely getting this book about her.
Yeah, I'm very excited for when it comes out. I'm super excited for it.
Reading the shit out of it.
Yeah, because Professor Lynn has been writing about this for years. She initially wrote about this on a website called nursingcleo.com. Like this has been her, it feels like it's her brass ring to finally get people interested in the story of Juliet Stuart Poyntz and to maybe kind of figure out what the fuck happened. But I would be shocked if the NYPD even has, a half ounce of evidence on the case.
This would make a great movie.
Yeah. So that's how we're gonna end the year. Una, how do you feel about 1930s commies?
I mean, listen, I love me some film noir. I'm all about this, and this is chef's kiss.
Yeah. It would be so much fun. And there was one of the initial topics that I was wanting to do earlier on when we started Gadfly that I was actually kind of surprised to find that it was a party that never ran for a race. And at the time, it didn't feel like it fit with what we were going to do. But the Communist Party of Alabama was actually highly influential during the civil rights movement of getting African Americans registered to vote. And it was, say what you want about the commies. They really wanted to give marginalized communities rights in America and fought like hell when we should have been fighting for it. And there might have been ulterior motives of like, hey, we could get more communists if we do this. But I mean, you're still doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You're still helping people.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's the other thing is there's a lot of students at Barnard who are just like, we really need to talk more about Juliet, but they also understand that they kind of can't because she was a commie spy and kind of a traitor.
I mean, this is why we should elect women to office.
I know. We could have.
So that our options aren't become a commie spy.
I think that's a really, really good point because, if the garment workers union had kept her like they fucking should have, who knows what else she could have done. She could have done so much amazing things, but no, we can't bend to, different opinions because my name is Joe Biden and I don't listen to nobody.
Oh, no. But it's okay because Pete Buttigieg is going to be in charge of our trains now.
He is going to make our ports plenty good. But like maybe you shouldn't push away further left thinkers in your community when they're already doing good. Just accept the fact that like, hey, they're going to do them. And I might not agree 100% with everything they do, but the work they're doing is amazing. And so it's worth it. Like it's worth any uncomfortability I might feel.
They're actively working in favor of the most marginalized of communities. Just let them continue doing it. Like their choices have nothing to do with you. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, just accept the fact that the privilege that you have is that you get to feel a little bit uncomfortable in exchange for people who have far less than you suddenly getting more.
I promise you'll feel more discomfort in a single yoga session. Just deep.
The problem. We needed to have yoga in the 1930s.
Yeah, instead of just calisthenics everywhere.
Oh my God. And lift with your back and jump.
On the knees.
Oh my God. Oh, Lord. So I guess what I'm saying is, I guess I'm a communist now? I don't know. I don't know. If we run for office, Ben Shapiro's going to use this against us so hard.
Just this?
I think that's a good point to end on. So everyone, thank you for a wonderful 2020 is a complete lie. Thank you for making 2020 bearable, for joining us in this wonderful experiment that we're very excited to do. And we're so glad that all of you have joined us along for the ride. So yeah, if you want, follow us on Twitter, follow us on the Instagrams, all those places. If there are any episodes you really want to see in 2021, please feel free to reach out. We've had some listeners give us lists of some really awesome ideas that we're definitely going to be incorporating in the future that I'm very excited about. But yeah, if you like the episode, if you like what we're doing, please let your friends know. It's no matter how many people are listening to this, I'm going to keep doing it because I love hanging out with Una, and the pandemic is slowly killing us on the inside, and this is a nice way to maintain human connection. So
Indeed. And I always learn something.
Yeah, which is, a good thing in life. So yeah, everyone, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful holiday, however you choose to celebrate it. And, we'll see you in 2021 here on Gadfly. Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.